Okay. Yeah, so good day class once again. So again, the format I want to use today, I'll be doing both the PowerPoint and the lab at the same time. So it's not like we'll run through the PowerPoint and go to the lab, because I believe that would be better in terms of, we talk about something, then we go to the lab, we show it and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's what I'll be doing. So I will not finish I will not just run through the PowerPoint, like, just some slide and go to the lab to just do some demo, come back again. And, hopefully, yeah, maybe that will be a little bit helpful, because I know you forget some of the theoretical parts. And again, those things are very important. So today, this will be our agenda. We'll be doing some recap from our last class. We'll be looking at Ansible variables. We'll be looking at gather Ansible facts, conditions with Ansible, using condition with Ansible, Ansible roles, which is very, very important. If you don't know anything in Ansible, try and know Ansible roles. It's a very common interview question. They like it. It's a very powerful concept in Ansible. So we're going to look at Ansible roles, then we're going to do some lab on that. Then Ansible Galaxy as well, which we're going to use to create a role, Ansible role. Then we're going to the lab, of course. So this was from last week. We talked about configuration management, what the benefits. It allows consistency in system and software installation, maintaining your application and stuff like that. So it's very powerful. It allows uniform. As you can see, last week we used two Ubuntu machine. Then we have a controller that controls it, and we install application from it right from the controller. We don't have to log in. So you have consistency. You have everything will be in the same place, uniform. You can do a lot of things with it, and it's very powerful in the industry. Again, rather than doing things manually, which is prone to error and it's difficult to replicate. You install Tomcat on this server. If you spin up another server, it will be you can get into issues in how to replicate it in all those areas. So but when you have it in a code like Ansible or some of the popular ones, you'll be able to manage it once it works. Once you take the pain of writing the script, everything, and everything works, anywhere. If you run it 10 times, different environment, it will work 100% the same way with no distance if you write the same code. So yeah, so again, it's very important, and just understand the concept, configuration management. Then we talked about the architecture for Ansible, and this is the host machine that we created. We have a master, then it controls all this one. So as you can see, last week we have the masters, then we install application to all these servers. Right from this master, we don't have to log in on this, except when we do the SSH whatever. So but we don't have to log in on all these servers to install any application on them. And if we want to update the application too, we do the same thing. We want to change the version, we want to remove any application, you don't have to log in directly on that. You can just control it from a central location, and everything. And that's what this is. Ansible controller. These are the node. We talk about playbooks, then the host inventory and stuff like that. I believe this is a revision from the last class. So today we're looking into Ansible variable, and so we're going to say Ansible variable, just like variable, like any. I believe when we did Terraform as well, you said the variable, any language, any syntax, maybe variable is very, very important. It's very useful, especially when you are writing script in a large scale. Variable is very critical. It allows you to manage everything, not to keep repeating information every time. You can, variable is important. And again, everything, even Python, every language or any script, you can think of have their variable. The only difference is the way they define it and the way they declare it, the way they call the variable. So they will declare the variable somehow, then there's a way to reference the variable that you declare. So, we're going to see some Ansible variables, how they work, and, what we can do with it, and, just play around with some of the basic variable. Yeah, so again, I'll be switching back and forth to this thing. So if you can remember from last week, this is how our stuff looks like. And let me filter by, I don't know, let me filter by, okay. So as you can see, this is the three application that the three instances that we launched last week. Ubuntu based node 1, node 2, and this is the master that we connected with it. Again, I'm already connected with my master right now. I'm on the master server at this point, and master, again, if you remember, we only install Ansible on the master node. We didn't install Ansible on all these two, so we only install it on the node, and we're able to on the master, and we're able to install Apache on the node to the node right from the master without having to log in. Again, you remember the SSH that we did then. If I do CD ls, we created this public key, then we share it among all the hosts. If I do cat ID pub like this, this is the public key that we share. When we, if you remember the code that we run for that, we do key gen, then that generates this key for us. So again, these are something you can do directly on your Windows computer or this thing. This allow you to exchange, to communicate with other computer or other server over SSH, which is a secure way, and that's what Ansible use. So we use this and we share it to other hosts so that Ansible can talk to them. And again, if you remember, we have our Ansible on this machine, Ansible version right on this machine, and then we also have Ansible playbook installed. So if I do playbook, so again, we only have those things only on the master. We don't have them on the this thing, and we're able to control it. So as it stand now, if you remember, this is what our if I do cat, this is the playbook that if I do ls now, or ls-l, this is the playbook that we used last week, play.yaml. And, if I cut it now, let me cut play.yaml. Sorry, play.yaml. So, okay, let me think so this is the script that we wrote last week. And, again, they're very basic. Today we'll be building on it. We'll be looking into variables and stuff like that, and how we can use variable in Ansible. So let me go back to, again, variable, it's to represent the variable among those different systems. You can create variables with standard YAML, including list and stuff like that. So again, these are not this, what I want you to focus more on the centers for the variable. This is how they write variable in Ansible. Var is the keyword. This is a keyword. It's not something you make up. But these two, you have it like this: var, username, Samim, home. This can be anything. This can be name, Kenneth, class 12, or it can be anything. These are what they call key and value pair. This is a variable. Then, for example, you now want to use the variable somewhere, you now call the key, then it will just print out the value. So this is the key, this is the value. And again, every language, this is how variable works. Just like when you have x is equals to 2, y is equals to 4. Then in the equation you have in some small, maybe algebra, you have 2x plus y equals to 5. They are not writing the value of x, but at the top, they already tell you x is 2, y is 5. So the same thing they do in all these variables. And again, it's goes not just in the Ansible, every language use variable, and they follow similar way, the same way. You declare it, you have to declare it, you have to say what your variable is. Then, when you want to use it, you call it. That's what you call calling variable, or making reference to it. Here they are saying that username username is equals to this. So this, if you run a code like this in Ansible, it will print username dot Sami instead of this username here, because this username is the same thing as what you are seeing here. So you say username Sami, then it will say home directory home. So this home now, it will just give you the value, instead of you writing it, add coding it directly. So you just take this, then when you print something like this, when you run a code like this, it will print this value for you. It will not print home for you again. It will not print this. It will only print this. So yeah, again, just understand how this works, and we're going to show it and just briefly and how this thing works. So again, let's go back to our code and let's see what we can do with variable. So I'm going to go to VS Code, and again, this is what we did last week. I think this copy doesn't seem to work or whatever. So maybe we can just ignore that for now. But we want to create. There's something. There's this particular modules in Ansible which they call debug. Debug kind of allow you to print a statement, to print something, print a statement or whatever. So again, I just copied the syntax here. I think my indentation is not right. So let me do this and just shift tab. Okay, yeah. So again, I just copy this particular one just to, I'm going to edit it. But what I want to do is I want to print something. But on the top here, we have our task. We start at this point. This is where you declare your variable as vars. Just like how they write it. Then you start putting all the. I will give a space because you are putting something under it. So you can have a lot of them. I can say name. Kenneth, then I can have another var and call it class. Again, this could be anything. Then say, okay, DevOps, stuff like this. So, these are the variable. This is at this point, we're just declaring our variable. Again, now we are not making use of it. You don't have to use variable. It's not like it's compulsory, but of course, in most cases, you want to use it. Again, it's like you are saying x is equals to 2, y is equals to 5. Again, this is not the syntax they use here, but I think in Python, this is the way you declare a variable directly. So in the equation here, you can have a calculation. You just say your x plus y. So immediately we know that you already have x and y that you declare here. So it will just do the addition for you. You don't have to come here and say 3 plus 5, 3 plus 5. So you don't have to do that. Just say x plus y. And since you already declared the variable here, it will just put in the value. So the same thing with all this language, the same format with all those our calculation that we used to do in high school. So it will just give you the value of the variable we use. So we declare this variable now. So the modules I want to use, they call it debug. So let me see. So they call it debug, and let me just edit this and say, okay, print a statement. Just print something. It will just print something on the output for you. Then here it will be debug. Again, these are keyword from what's it called, from Ansible. If I go back to my stuff like this, then let me show you some of all these things, how you can make use of it. I'd floated mention. So if I go to okay, yeah. So if I do Control F and do debug, so you see, and it will show you how it is used. Yeah, so you see it said debug print statement during execution. So if I click on it, you want to see how they use it. They give you syntax, I like to go to the example, message, you have a message, so I'm just going to use one of these, maybe this syntax or whatever. So I'm going to use this debug, then under it, you have a message, and that's where you write what you want to print out from the output. So you just write MSG like this, and then you run your stuff. So let's go back and see what we can do. So we have that here. So the value we need right here is MSG. Then let's just write anything. I would say my name is, so now instead of saying my name is Kenneth, so I'll say my name is name. So to declare, to call variable in Ansible, you use this syntax, these two curly braces with a space, then I would say name. So like this is the syntax. So, what I'm saying now is that, okay, my name is, so what this thing should print now, if everything works out well, it should print my name is Kenneth. So it should print my name is Kenneth. Again, I'm not printing Kenneth directly here. It will take the value from the variable right here directly from here. So, again, this could be very useful in a big environment where you have a lot of things you want to do. And, when the code become big like that, because at the end of the day, you may have this in different places in like different part of the script. Now, if you want to make any changes, you can, maybe I want to change the name to David at this point. So, I will only have to make the change once in a place. Because I'm using the word name here, it will update in anywhere I call the variable. And that's why variable is very, very important. So, so let me run this and then we see what is going to print. Again, we are just installing Apache, but I think we already installed Apache, so it's not going to do anything with that. Again, these are tasks. If you remember from last class, you have different tasks, you give it a name. Then these are the modules that you use from Python. Apt is one of them. We're just saying, okay, install Apache 2, which we already did from the last class. Then the second thing I want it to do is, print a statement. My name is Kenneth or whatever. You can just, again, debug. That's what it does, print all those statements. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to use this code right here. Then I'm going to update it, then run it. Then you see how how a variable works. So I'm going to edit this, which is play.yaml. I don't know why it's giving me this. So I'm going to just remove all this line, all this line, all this line. So if you want to do that, just if you just tap D twice, you can remove a line completely in VS Code. Again, when you are pasting stuff in this thing, it will most time 9 out of 10, it will mess up with your syntax. You want to make sure, this, what's it called, is very sensitive. YAML is very sensitive to indentation, which is spacing. So if you mess up with it, it's going to throw you an error. So, let's run this and let's see what we are going to. Okay, no, now I don't even have the variable right here. So I need to put the variable here. So I'll put it var. I think it's vars. So again, this is a list. That's why you see it says vars. And if you remember from last class that I explained what a list or array is, this is what it is. So we're having two lists now. Then one is name that I declare. Then I'll say Kenneth. From here now we are only using, and again, this thing will be very useful when we get to Python and stuff like that. Then I'll say class, DevOps or whatever. So, but again, from here I have two variables, but I'm only using one in my script right here. Again, you can have a lot of variable depending on what you want to do and stuff like that. Even this Apache, this name called Apache, you can write it as a variable and just call it instead of just writing it directly. So let me run this and let's see what is going to print on. So if I do Ansible playbook, if you remember how we used to, then the name of the playbook, that's play.yaml. So you see it's not a valid variable name. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Let me say course. So what I'm thinking is that class is more like a keyword in in Ansible. That's why it's throwing that error. So so you see it says a fan. So you see what it print on the output. It said my name is Kenneth. even though our script says my name is, so it's get the value from the variable that we declare, then print what is there, print the output. And again, that is how to do variable in this thing. Again, if I show you the script .yaml, this is the script that we do, just the name. I didn't write my name is Kenneth, I just say my name is, then, put this thing, which tell you the value of this thing. So again, just understand the concept of variable, nothing much to really cram or anything. So just know how it works. So that's how to declare variable and how to call it, depending on what you are trying to achieve. The same thing they are doing here, username, comma, just again, these are very useful. When you get to Python, you say I will use some of all these things too. So you can declare it here and use other. So another interesting thing with Ansible is it's do what they call gathering facts. So it say Ansible facts are data gathered about the target node. That's the host node to be configured and return back to controller node. So a fact can be the IP address, the bioinformation, the system, software update. And again, this thing is very powerful and, with Ansible, and it makes it very flexible. We are going to use some of the facts and you see, let me go back to the dashboard and show you what the fact is. You remember when you run, let's run this code again, once again. Again, it's not going to make any, you see, it says gather facts, it give us the IP address and stuff like that. So what it's doing is that it's interacting with our host, which is the two other server that we are launching. So it's getting some information from there. It's a lot of information, not just this IP address. This one is just like a summary of the whole thing. I will show you some of the information that you can get from this. So it gather every information, the OS, the operating system, the Linux distribution system. It will give you everything, the IP address you use on those machines, everything, remotely. I mean, these are remote distance. So let me just run this command briefly. You see this thing, it's Ansible, it's Ansible all is just to like interact with everything that we have with Ansible or then -m. The modules is called setup. So if we run this, you're going to see what we have. So these are all the facts that Ansible gets. It's a lot. Again, you see the user group, the home base. These are the Ubuntu. These are a lot of them, and you can do a lot of interesting things with this thing. So many of them. The blog, you see so many. We'll be using like one or two of them. Then you see, let me show you one that we're probably going to be using. You see Ansible distribution. It gave us the distribution of Ansible, give us the Debian, whatever, a lot of information about, these are the information about the targets, the node, the Ansible is controlling. So this thing is very useful. You can do a lot of things with it, and you're going to see one of them. So many information, some useful, some not useful. So you can filter it based on what you want. The information you want from the targets. They, again, they are very useful and they're very important things to know. You see the parts, PWD. If you run it, the shell and everything. So yeah, again, it's very important things and very useful in Ansible. So that's what gathering fact is. So every time Ansible interacts with your node, it gather all those facts. Then before you even start doing anything. So that's why when we run the playbook, it first gather the facts. It's a task gathering facts. Then before it does everything. So that's gathering for, again, you can get the IP address, the bioinformation, the system software, even the hardware information, everything you can get from gather facts. I think I've jumped so much. Yeah, so another thing we're going to just check is, which we are going to do some lab briefly, it's condition in Ansible. So in Ansible, you can have a condition and stuff like that. Okay, let me give you instances. In most organizations, like even the one I'm working on, some, doing some installation on some of their machine and stuff like that. The machine, they have different operating system. Sometimes they have like Debian, they have Windows. We have because we have MySQL, which is running on a Windows server. Some in Linux alone, there are a lot of distribution, Debian, Red Hat Enterprise, a lot of them. So in most of all those organizations, they mix them together. Again, of course, Linux is the one they use mostly, especially for web application. But they can have like Windows to be doing maybe Active Directory or managing user and stuff like that. Or they can have, even within Linux, they can have different operating system. If you check our code that we write, what if we have our target to be, what if one of our node is not Ubuntu? Yeah, this app is 100% Ubuntu. Again, we are going to use something different from Ubuntu today, because mostly this lab we've just been working on Ubuntu. So, example, if one of our machine is not Ubuntu, again, you can be using Ansible to control 20 different host machine, and it could be different varieties of distribution of Linux distribution. It could be Ubuntu, it could be Red Hat Enterprise, Debian, or whatever. So you want to create all those conditions. If when this is this, do this. If it is Ubuntu, run this one. If it is Debian, run this. You want to use some of all those conditions with Ansible so that you can have a very flexible code. You don't have to have different code that, okay, this is the code that we install Apache on Ubuntu. Then for the Red Hat, this is the code that we do that. So you don't want to do stuff like that. So in programming, you want to be flexible and be able to undo different situations. Like, okay, if this doesn't go this way, do this. If it goes this way, do that. So, again, not just in Ansible, in any language, condition is very important. In like Python, you see all this if statement, if else statement, you see while loop and stuff like that. So those are very, very powerful in writing script, because it allows you to do so many complex things. Again, in most cases, you may not know the real environment you are interacting with, and so you just want to provide all those variations, all those flexibility in your script. So basically, again, these are script right now. It can only handle Ubuntu, which I will show you. If you have a Red Hat and we run this code, it will throw you an error because apt doesn't work with Red Hat. Instead, we use Yum. They use Yum update or whatever, Yum install, blah, 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 just like this thing. So I'm going to go to the dashboard. So I'm going to spin up another server. Let me see. So I'm going to spin up another server. Then let's see. Okay, so I'm going to spin up 2 more server. Then it will be Red Hat base, which is to be Debian base, which will be AWS, Amazon Linux. I mean, we can use Red Hat directly here, Red Hat Enterprise, but yeah, let's just go with this, which is almost always similar to Red Hat also. So it also use Yum Enterprise. So I will go with that. Again, I'm not using Ubuntu now. I want to create a conditional statement and a script to be able to do both situations. So I'm going to spin up two server for this. Then again, you can delete this when you are done with the lab. You don't have to. The tag I'm going to leave in. Then for this, I'm just going to select one of our security group, the one we've used before. Then I'm just going to launch it with my favorite key. Then I'm going to do this. So having done that, let me go and just give it a name. So yeah, I'll give this a name. I will say let me say Red Hat 1. So then the other one, I'll give it this thing. If you don't do it quickly, I don't know why it does that. So I just named 2 of the server now, Red Hat 1, Red Hat 2. So let me filter by name. So these are the two red hats that I just created now. And you see two of them, 1 and 2, this and this. So again, I'm just going to exchange the public key the way we deal with that so that we can connect them with Ansible. So Ansible will be controlling this 4 machine now, So again, I'm just going to log in on one of them. I'm just going to connect directly because I just want to exchange the key. Then so this is what we're going to do. Let me know if you have any question at any point, So I'm going to, so this is one of the machine. I think this is the one that say red hat 1. So I'll go to the controller. This is the master. So again, I just want to exchange the key, nothing serious here. So I will seed into my SSH directory. Then I will do ls. Then I will cut my ID underscore pub. If you remember, this is the one that we need to exchange with. So I will do this, and then I will just copy the key. I want to exchange the key with this guy. So here too, I will go to my SSH directory. Then I will share it with the authorized key. So what I will do here is that I will do echo. I don't want to do vim and be doing the editing. I will do echo. Then I will do this. Then I will do 2 greater than sign, then I will echo it into this. So this sign basically it will just output it to this thing. So if I run this now, it will add this key directly to the code. So if I do cat authorized key now, so you will see the new one that I just added now. So I've been able to add it directly to this guy. So it's a faster way of doing it rather than using Vim. Again, you can use Vim and just edit the code, edit it directly. But I think that takes me time the last time I was doing that. So I think I'm done with this machine. So let me use the second one, which is Red Hat 2. So again, I will just connect briefly on the dashboard. I don't want to. So so I will cd into my .ssh again. This is hidden file. So I will do ls. If I cut this, you see what is there. It's only one key that's there. So I'm going to run the code again, which is echo. Then this is the one I copy from the other place. Oh my God, it's no. So okay, I think it run the code basically. What's going on here? Okay, let me do Control C. Let me do Control C. Let me clear my screen. So let me cut this authorized key again. So we only have one key. Let me copy this again. Then I think I'm not copying it right. So I copy the one from the master. So here I will do my echo again. Echo this. And then again, 2 greater than, if you use 1, it will override what you have there. So that's why I'm using the 2 greater than sign. So if I cut it now, you see that it's added the key already. If I cut authorized key, it's added the new key at this point. This is where the first one finished. This is where the second one finished. So, briefly, I will let you, for some of you that are not familiar with, Debian base and stuff like that, you will see it's different from if I do cat etc/os release. So you see, this is Red Hat Enterprise Fedora Center OS. It's Amazon Linux, and this is not Ubuntu. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Let me do apt updates. The way we used to do our apt. You see what I'm talking about. Let me even use sudo. So it tell you that apt is not found because this is not Ubuntu. So this we use yum instead of apt, which they call yum. Again, these are different things. Just like you are using Choco on your Windows the other day, on Mac we have like a Brew. They call them package manager. They have a lot of application there. So Yum is one of them. It's for all those Red Hat, Fedora, and stuff like that. So yeah, Ubuntu use apt. So here, for example, if you want to install something, we do Yum install this thing, Yum do this instead of doing apt. You do Yum in this case. So this is different environment. You see now I do Yum updates. It doesn't give me any error. Instead, It just tell me that nothing is to update. So, yum works where, I can do yum install git or whatever. So it will give you the package and everything. So again, just to show you how that works. And, we are going to install something. So right now, if I ping, let me go back to my master again. Let me just cd back home. So this is my master. And, if you remember last week, when we go to the etc/Ansible, we have this file, the host file, which we need to edit. We need to add the IP address of our host. So I will do vim right here. Then I will, let me do sudo vim, because I will not be able to edit it without being a sudo. So I will edit this host file. So which is, if you remember last week, we added this, we added these two IP addresses. This for the Ubuntu. So, here I will just, so I will add more IP, but I want to group it. I want to give it another group. So I will just say Red Hat, or whatever. So I just say Red Hat like this. Then, you provide the name and the IP address. So let me just grab IP address of one of them. I think this is one of them. Yeah, this is the Red Hat 2. So I'm just going to put that right here. Then I will do that to the other one, which is, let me see, the other one. Okay, I think I did for 2 now. So this is for the one Red Hat 1. So I'm just going to put so this is where you manage, inventory. They call this inventory in Red Hat. Again, all these things you are seeing, they are commented out already. So you don't have to do anything. So there's one things we need to add to it to make it work. If not, let me show you. Sorry. Let me get out of here. Again, we added to this thing. So, but it won't still work because so I do cd now. So let me do Ansible or -m ping. So I just want to see if I can ping all the host. Now we have four server that this Ansible will be controlling. So let's see what happened. Okay. So yeah, so it's asking for. So you see, we were unable to connect with 2 of them, because what happened is that we are working on our Ansible master machine, which is the controller. It's Ubuntu based, and by default, it will assume that the user is Ubuntu. If you check from the output here, it's trying to connect to Ubuntu at this IP address, which is wrong. Ubuntu at this IP address. This was okay. This first 2 was okay because they are actually Ubuntu. But the other 2, they are not Ubuntu. They are EC2-user. That's the name of the user, default user that comes with them. So, but this Ansible is assuming they are Ubuntu because that's the what it thinks. So we are going to tell Ansible that these are not Ubuntu. Rather, this is EC2 user, the name of the host. Again, this is the host. If you remember, when you are doing SSH, you do SSH -i, then you do Ubuntu at, this Ubuntu at you are doing, this is like a user. This is the default user on the Ubuntu machine you are using. So, but in this our case now, it shouldn't be Ubuntu user, it should be EC2-user. I will show you that. Let's go to one of those new server we created. If I go to connect now, you will see it say username EC2 user. Let's go to SSH where we used to copy this thing. You see it say SSH-I EC2 at. Then this is the address. I mean, this could be a public IP address, but you see start with EC2. If you remember, the one we've been working with always start with Ubuntu at. So, but now this one is EC2 at. The Ansible is assuming that all of them they are Ubuntu at, and that's why it couldn't connect with the 2. It was able to connect with the first 2, but it failed to connect with the other 2. So we are going to edit the stuff again to make Ansible know that, okay, this is not Ubuntu. So I'm going back to the /etc/Ansible. Then I will do my sudo vim again. I want to edit the host. I want to edit the host directory, which is this, so we add this two line there, which I had to like do research. This gave me a tough time, like, okay, how will I do this? So I did a lot of research. So this is what you would do. You add this Ansible underscore user, then you give it the name. If you don't want Ansible to use this thing. So I'm just going to use that in for these two, because again, they are not Ubuntu. So and Ansible, we assume they are Ubuntu. So I'm going to give it here. So then here too, I'm going to do that. So now, Ansible, we know that we are trying to connect to it. Ansible will now take it at EC2-user at the IP address. That's what Ansible will use. So let's exit now and run the ping command again. Let me go back home. Let me run the ping command again like this. So you see everything is successful now. We don't have any error. This one is just complaining about the Python, whatever. So, just ignore this. So basically you see everything was successful from A to Z. We're able to ping all the hosts. So we're able to connect with them, and then we fix that. So again, just something to note. In that case, if we are only working with Ubuntu user, you don't need to do that, because we have other distribution. So now we have this thing. So this is our playbook, guys. Don't forget play.yaml is still what we are working with. So let me just run this this thing and let's see what happened. Right now we have 4 machines. 2 Ubuntu, then 2 Debian base, which is Red Hat. So I'm just going to do Ansible playbook. So I will do Ansible -playbook. Then what's the name of the play.yaml like this. So normally it should not be able to work with the other 2. So you see 2 were able to install, the other 2 was not could not install, because if you read the outputs now, we tell you that no such directory or whatever. So you see it said this command, it complained about this command. So the apt that we are using. So basically the 2 Red Hats that we just created, they fail because they don't know what apt is. They don't understand apt. So, and the Ansible is trying to assume that everybody understand apt. And again, it brings us to this point where we talk about condition, when we can do so many flexibility. So we are going to use when, which is very popular. And then we are going to use that to like give Ansible that command that, okay, when it is Ubuntu, run that command. So we are going to add that to the line of the code. Then we are going to see how that works. So again, let me run this command once again. Then let's see what we have. So right here, okay, let me go back to my terminal. Let me clear all these jargons. So if I run this command again, which is Ansible all, then I will do, okay, let me say, if I say Ansible, what's the name I gave to the, I think I do Red Hat. Then I said -m, then I will say setup. Let me see, I can't remember the name of the host I gave. Okay, it worked. So I'm just giving the name for the stuff. So again, these are the facts that Ansible, information that Ansible gathered from our Red Hat. So this is what I want to use now, this particular word, Ansible underscore OS underscore family, it's a Red Hat. In case of Ubuntu now, it's not, this will not be. And you see the package manager, I say yum. So we are going to give Ansible that comparison, that condition, that if the OS family is Red Hat, or if the OS family is Ubuntu, run this. So that's what we use when is a popular, when keyword is a popular this thing they use. So we are going to use Ansible underscore this like this. So just like what they do here, let me show you. So let me see. So in the case of this thing, let me run this command again, but here I will just say Ubuntu. If you remember, I just named or what's the name I give to the, I don't know, you probably give error. So let me cd back to my etc. I want to see the name I gave to the etc/Ansible. Then let me cut sorry, let me cut host. So I just want to see the name I use for the other one. So the other one, again, all these are just, okay, the other one is dev. Okay, dev. You say I group it, so I can call any of them instead of saying or, I can make reference to any of them. So but this is Ubuntu, the other one is Redder. So I can say dev now from my command. So if I go back, then I do this. So then I say dev. So I want to gather, I want to see the information for dev. So if I do dev now, so setup, so it tells me that, you see all this thing, Ubuntu, if you go to the Ansible dash OS, the one we saw the other time, OS family, you say it's Debian. So, so I will use that condition and say, okay, if Ansible, when Ansible underscore OS underscore family equals to Debian, that's when you should run that code. So I'm going to go back to my, what's it called? I'm just going to, let me see, let me make sure I get the right, again, these are gather facts. These are facts that Ansible gather from you from your operating system, from your the controller. So it's Ansible underscore OS underscore family. So if I do vim play, so let me edit this now. I don't know why it does this. So right here, this is where, again, if you remember, this is the point where we installing the Apache. Again, this app is Ubuntu 100%. We only work with Ubuntu. So I will use a keyword that say when. So I will say this. So you now say equals to Debian. So now I'm saying that, okay, when this equals to Debian, that's why when you will run this apt. So what we do now is that, again, all our hosts, we have 4 hosts now. 2 are Ubuntu, which is Debian, then 2 of them is Red Hat. So it will basically skip the one. It will not try to install anything. If you remember the other time we run this code, we got error. We got two of them failed, then 2 was able to run successfully. But now when we put this statement now, it's just going to skip the other 2 because they are not Debian. So we skip the other 2, then just do it on the other 2. So let's see how that will work. Hopefully this doesn't throw error. So I will do Ansible playbook, then the name of the playbook, which is play.yaml. So found reserved or failed. Okay, the condition check, Ansible Debian failed. The error was Debian is undefined. Or did I miss the spelling? I have to hold on. Let me. Okay, I think I need to put it in. I need to put it in curly braces. Let me see. No, I need to put it in a quote. Again, these things are very sensitive to syntax. If you don't do anything right, it will throw you an error. So I think this should be in a quote because it's string. So you are saying it has to match this word 100%. So let's run it again, and hopefully we'll be good now. So you see it's worked now, and you see it says skip one. So basically it skip the one that are not Debian. So you evaluate everything based on their operating system, then it skip the one that are not Debian, you just skip it. So let me add something to the playbook. So instead of here, so because this thing is like variable, so I will use this OS family now. So I will use this keyword, then I will use that instead of this name I put here, because it's like variable to be, predefined variable by the, Ansible as by default. So now I'm saying that, okay, let me now say my operating system, no, my distribution, my distro, which is distro version is, I can put a hyphen here just to make it, oh my God, what did I do? Okay. So if I don't do this now, this will basically, okay, hopefully. So yeah, so basically I just put the this thing. So you see what is going to print on the, when we run, let's run this again. So you see each of them is giving us, it said my distro is Debian, my distro is Debian for this. These two, they are Debian, which are the Ubuntu. Then the other one, is said my distro is Red Hat, my distro is Red Hat. So that thing is like a variable too, you can use in your code. So it's basically giving us the information from this thing. So it's very important, it's very, very important. And again, it skip the one that are not Debian. So, it skip the one that are not Debian and this thing. So what we're going to do now is, we're still going to edit our code, with YAML. So then we are going to add again, because we want to install something on our Debian too, right? On our Red Hat also. So we want to install something on our Red Hat too. So I will add another task again. Task is where you do all those things. So I will add another task, so right here, I know the syntax will be messed up. We should be doing this on the VS Code and just copy it. Sorry about that. So you see the name kind of, yeah, you see, you have to make sure everything. So yeah, I will say install Apache on Red Hat, on Red Hat. So now I will say, if the operating system is Red Hat, again, the spelling have to be matched 100%. So if the OS family is Red Hat, so here we should have Yum. So this will be Yum. Again, Yum is a distance. If you go to the distance, to the modules with Ansible, let me hide this again. So if you go to the modules with Ansible, if we search for Yum, just to show you, Control F, Yum. Yeah, so Yum, is a package manager repo. So if I click on that, go to example and see, Yum, this is the one we are even going to use. HTTPD is what they call it, and that distance. So we're going to use stuff like this state, then we're just going to put present there. So we do HTTPD here, HTTPD, so that's the name they give, they have it for this thing. So basically we have another task now, which is for Yum. So this, and we're telling this that, okay, install it when the operating system is this. If you don't put this statement there, it's just going to fail. It will try to install it on we try to run this particular line on every host. And again, the host, some of them are not Red Hat. Two of them are Ubuntu, which is Debian. Two of them are Red Hat. So you don't want that. So it will just tell you that it failed. So, this condition will give you that this thing. So let's run this and let's see what happened. So let me exit this again. So I'm just going to run it with my other this thing. So you see it will install it on each and every one of them without, so you see it's skipping two in terms of Apache, skip two, then it skipped the other one, but it was able to install it on this thing. Now let's go back to our machine, our AWS environment, EC2, then let's go to one of the Red Hat and just let's put the IP address in the public, then okay, so what happened is that with Debian, unlike this other one that, once you just install this thing, you need to start the service. So there's other task that we need to provide to start it, to provide the start, to make sure that HTTPD started. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another task, which is I think I have the code somewhere. So again, HTTPD is installed there 100%. I'm sure of that. But you need to start it. Even if you are installing it manually, you need to do system HTTPD start, system D start, just like we used to start some of our stuff. So it requires us to have that in our code. So I'm going back to my distance to edit that. .yaml, and then so we under here now we already installed HTTPD, but we need to start it. We need to start the service. So that's what we're going to do with the with this task now. Again, this is something you see if you go to service, you see if I show you service as well, again, this name can be anything. If I show you the service, let me go back to just to show you that I'm not just bringing this thing from literally nowhere. So if I do F, then I do service. So the service a lot though. Let me go to S. So you see service as a keyword, then it allows you to start an application or do things that you're supposed to, you want to do. PQRS. Let me see. You see S3 bucket. There are so many things you can do with them. So you see service, it's a manage services. So if I click on it, control services on remote support in it or whatever, open. So basically this is what you want to do. You want to do service. This is the one I use directly, start HTTPD. You need to start it. If not, it's not going to start. That Apache is not going to start on your distance. So that's what we are doing here. If you can see, the only thing I added is this condition because I don't want you to run this on every machine. So, so I added this now. So hopefully the syntax is right. Then let's see, let's run it again. Then we should be able to see, that it's installed on the machine. So I'm running this again now. You're going to see from the task, it says starting this thing. So it's going to start, it's skipping 2 of them, and it's only applying that to this. So, again, so if I do this now and I refresh this, you see our Apache is on one of the server now. This is, again, you see the syntax is kind of different from the other one we had before, but this is also Apache for Debian base, for Red Hat Enterprise. So if I grab the second IP address, I think the one I use is .221. So let me see the other one. Okay, yeah, this is the, this is the other Red Hat. Okay, 221. This is the other Red Hat. Let me grab the IP address for the second one and let's see if it is installed. You see it's installed on both the Red Hat server. So we install it on Red Hat server, install it on Ubuntu using the conditional statement when, and then using the gather facts stuff. So again, this is our code. Our code look good so far. We're still going to keep working on that. Again, just to give you, and that's what this syntax is just trying to show here. You can use it, to execute different tasks on different environments, different conditions that you can do depending on the requirements, depending on what you want to do with some of all those things. So yeah, enough of that. So we're going to do Ansible, Ansible this thing. Yeah, and again, I think it was Isaac last week was asking how we can customize our code and stuff like that. Yes, I was able to get something with that. So, if you remember in our this thing, I have this file now which I created. I just copied the syntax online, which is the index.html. So if I cut it now, let's see. If I cut index.html, it's just a basic HTML script, which I just copy online and I edited it. So we want to customize our Apache web service to run this particular thing. So let's see how we can do that. I have the file here. Again, I have the file here. So what I would do is that if you remember from one of this thing we used to do, when we log in to, let me see if we can log into one of the, I will use the Ubuntu, I will use the Ubuntu to do the stuff because for some reason to install it on this thing takes more than that. So this is the Ubuntu this thing. So if you remember, we used to have, once you install Apache, by default Apache will create this directory which they call, let me seed into that var HTML. So by default, once you install Apache on your Ubuntu server, it will create this directory for you. It will create var www HTML, and this is where your website will be living. So if I do ls now, this is where the HTML website will be living. This thing, will be the default page. This is where it will stay. So now what we are going to do is that, again, this is our remote server. I have a custom HTML file. So I will just make sure I copy this, then I copy it to this directory on this guy here. So then that way we'll be able to just get our distance started. So let's try that and let's see if that works. Hopefully it works. So I'm going to add another task again. So I'm deliberately adding more tasks now to make our playbook be. So I'm going to add another task, which I will call, so I will call it name. I give it a name, then I will say copy file to copy HTML to HTML to remote server. Any name, you don't have to give it remote server. So, but the main thing you want to do here, you want to use the keyword copy. Again, you can search for this keyword and see how they use it. So it accepts 2 arguments. One of them is, source, destination. Of course, any environment, if you are copying this thing, you have those 2. So we are going to have source. I think it's SCR. We have to confirm that just to be sure. Let me see. You have to confirm that to be sure if it's SCR. I think I have it here. Hold on, let me see. I think I have the complete code. Yeah, SRC. Yeah, so we have SRC, then DEST. So again, you can look up this thing on their documentation. Just search for copy. You will see the syntax there. So I go back to the code now. So I say is it SRC or SCR? Source. So the source, which is going to be the source is going to be on my home/Ubuntu, then /index.html. So this is the file we want to copy to our distance. So destination, where do you want to copy it? We want to copy it on our Ubuntu machine at var html. So this is what we want to do. We want to copy, again, this file is right on our, let me just confirm this is if it's SRC or SCR. Okay, SRC, you see, it's going to throw an error if we run this. It's SRC. Yeah, it should be SRC, R before C. So SRC, then dest. So it's just saying source, destination. So again, we are copying it on this side because this is where the website lives. This is the name of this is where the website lives. Then I will show you, let me just show you, let me exit here. Then let me do PWD. So you see, this is where we have our file. If I do ls now, it's right here. This is what we want to copy. We want to copy it to the Ubuntu server, to the other 2 Ubuntu server. So, again, this is where I got the directory from. If I cut my play now, .yaml. So this is where I got it from. If you see me typing this, this is the home, then this is the file I want to copy. PWD just show you the full part, then slash, the file you want to copy. So then I think I will add this thing because this only apply to Ubuntu. So I will add that last statement again, which is for Debian. We want this to be done only on Debian. We don't want to copy it on the other machine, on the one with this thing. So I'm just going to add that last line again. Then make sure it's this. So I'm giving a condition that copy it to the machine that are Ubuntu alone. Don't copy it on the one with Red Hat because again, for the Red Hat, the syntax is kind of different. So it's on. So let's run this playbook again and let's see what we have. Ansible playbook. Hopefully it doesn't give error. I don't trust this thing. It looks to be working. So you see it said copy HTML to remote server. So it skip the two of them, then it copy it to the other two. So let's see our website on the Ubuntu now, and let's see if we have a new website on. Okay, this is one of them. Let's copy this IP address. Then if I paste it now, you see this is the custom, and this is the custom website that I copy to this directory. If I go to what's it called, if I go back to my master node, if I do ls, if I cut this, you see that it's the same stuff that's there. So you see, again, this is just HTML, what they call HTML. This is Techdavez site. This is Techdavez. This is just saying headers, that's why it's big. Then this is a paragraph. HTML is a very easy language. So, but again, I just copied the sentence, edited it, but this is the file that is doing this work, and we just copy it to that directory. So, I think Isaac, asked about that last class, which is a good question, and we're able to play around with copy command. If I use the other one as well, which is node 2, you see that it's copied as, okay, I think we use node 2. Let me use node 1. It's copied as well. Let me see, node 1. So you see both of them, both of the Ubuntu server now is serving our websites, and it's we just showing you how powerful those things could be. And again, you can have 10 server like that. You configure everything. Once you install Apache, then you configure it. Everything is up and running. So that is that for copy this thing. So we are going to go to roles and see how that works before we call it. Any questions so far, guys? I think I'm going too fast, or I don't know.
I just wanted to ask, for the Red Hat, if you install the Apache,
yeah,
we do the systemctl to
start
it.
Yeah,
there's also enable.
yeah,
So
exactly.
enable it so that in
Yeah,
case
yeah,
when it goes off,
exactly. Yeah.
like is
Yeah,
there, okay, is it the same syntax like when you do the
yeah. I'm
start?
sure. Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
same format
yeah.
we use, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure if we go to the let me exit this again. There's enable as well. We can enable it, but again, since it works for us, and we are not, it's not like a real distance. That's why I don't really. If it doesn't work, we have to do the enable or whatever. But maybe the service probably does both. I'm not sure. But let me see. Where's this? Where's this modules again? So let me search for enable. If I search, I think there's modules for enable. So I don't think there is. Then probably I think I see one. Let me go up. Yeah, modules enable disable. So if we look at this now, this modules we say Apache 2. So you see, yeah, start present, state absent. So yeah, basically this present does
Okay.
that enable, yeah,
Yeah.
which we have in our code. If I cut the playbook now, play dot, yeah. So the present does that, basically, yeah. So yeah, this one we have here, state present. So this does the enable. It enable it automatically. So then we have it on the other one to state present. So yeah, it does the enable. Then the start one is the one that we had to like create another task for that to start the service. So because you have to do systemctl enable this, and then you do systemctl start, that's how it's used to work. So this install it and enable it at the same time, then we are starting it in the other one. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, but again, you see all these things in the documentation. You say enable Apache 2 modules with Wedge. I don't know what Wedge is or whatever, but you see all those things. They are very helpful. So yeah, we getting any other question, guys? Right now our code is getting bigger now, and we have to structure it just like when we do to Terraform. Then we structure it, have Terraform modules. Unfortunately, they call it role. Is similar to what they call role in Ansible. So Ansible role, it's give you way to like structure your code and do everything. So we're going to look at what role is, and how you say how it can reduce our code. So roles let you automatically load related variable, file, task, and those and other Ansible artifacts. So in Ansible, the role is the primary mechanism for breaking a playbook into multiple files. So just like we have, this is just our basic distance. Trust me, this is not a lot of script. You can have a lot of them like that. This is just 30 line, and you can have so many tasks. You may want to install Java on it. So at the end of the day, you have a lot of tasks here, so many. And again, in writing all these things, these are not a best practice of doing it. So that's what role is meant for in Ansible. Just like when we are doing modules and Terraform, it's very similar. And trust me, guys, this is a very common interview question. Roles, they will ask you what a role is, what you understand by Ansible role. So again, it's allow you to break your playbook, Ansible playbook. Now we only have the playbook just in one script, one file. Again, this could go as much as 100 line or stuff like that. So with role, you'll be able to break it into different this thing. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, so yeah, the roles again is very, very powerful in Ansible, and again very popular. Interviews, it's something they always ask of role, a lot. So in Ansible role, these are it follows like a certain pattern. There's a pattern which we are going to see. Again, it's nothing too difficult like that. But it follows a certain pattern, a structure, how you can structure your file. You say tasks, you break it down into tasks, you say variables there, you say files, you can do a lot of things, put things in different locations and, make them be very easy to read, and very it's very cool. So we're going to create few rows, then we reduce our code, then you see how it works. So this is like a tree, it's a directory structure, just like folder inside folder. So when you create the row, you give it a name, then by default it will give you all these things. It will come with all these things. So you don't have to use everything, but the main one is you have to use the task, of course. Then you have to maybe variable if you have variable, and then some other stuff. So yeah, we're going to do that in the demo. Then these are just some of the, again, these are what you will have in the row structure. It has a structure. You're going to have a task. You're going to have handler, library, defaults, variable, and these are some of the definition and stuff like that. So again, it's going to create all these things for you. Once we do that, and Ansible give us a way to, you don't have to create it manually by yourself. Ansible give us a way, like a small this thing that will generate all these things for us by default. So we don't have to worry about having to create everything. Then we're going to need it, and role it can give us that structure. So let's jump into the demo, then let's see what role it's all about. So right now, this our code. So so role, by default, you must have a folder called roles. So I'm going to make a folder now, make directory, then I'll call it roles like this. So by you have to have that, it's compulsory. That's what it reads. So from the configuration file, so it will be looking at that. So you have to create the role inside this folder. So we are creating this folder now. So if I do a list now, we have the folder right here. So I'm just going to seed into the folder. So I'm inside the folder now. So what's the command now? I do a list, I don't have anything there. So now I want to create a role. So again, if I go back to my code, basically what we are doing is that, sorry, if I go back to the code, we want to like separate all these things. For example, install Apache, we can have a role on that, and we don't have to write all the code there. We're going to have the code somewhere, then we're just going to call it. You're just going to call it with 2 lines that, okay, we need this, we need this. We can separate everything like this. And at the end of the day, we may not have more than 10 lines of code, and it will do everything literally from A to Z. But this one will be living somewhere different. This will be living somewhere else. So yeah, all this will be living somewhere else. Then you can just, again, you don't have to put everything in a distant. In organization, they have very complicated Ansible scripts and stuff like that. So roles are very powerful. You can group things together. You can maybe all the red hat, you can just put everything in the role like this. And in your code, you just have to call it. So we're going to create roles and use some of all these things. Then we see how it works. Again, this is the same thing as our code. So to create the role now, this what they call Ansible Galaxy, which give us which is Ansible, maybe like repository or something that Ansible give us to create a role and then make our role to be structured. So the command is I will do Ansible Galaxy, and then I will do init. So init is just to initialize it. Then I will give it a role. So I will say Apache. Apache. You can give it any name, So Apache, Apache Ubuntu, So basically, this is the one that we do the Ubuntu installation. So again, we're just creating a structure with this command. So if I run this now, it said that role this was created successfully. If I do ls now, you see the role that we have here. So apache.ubuntu. This is a lot of folder inside, a folder inside a folder inside a folder. If I see into that now, you see what is there. So if I do ls, you see all this folder that was created by default was variable, test, template, task, meta, and lab files. Automatically Galaxy will create this. Once you run this command, it will create this for you by default. So you don't have to create it for you. You just have to edit it and put your code inside all this thing. So automatically it will create it for you. And then you don't have to, again, just ls. I'm inside my role now, which I created. So, we are going to edit this. Again, the main thing we need is the task. If you have variable, you put it inside there. All of them too, they have, if I do ls task, you see what is inside task, main.yaml. This is where you're going to write the script. So all of them have this thing, which is main.yaml. If I do ls var, so you see main.yaml too. So inside that, that's where you write it. Again, I didn't create this by myself. It was created when I run the Ansible Galaxy init command. So it created all this structure for us. If I do, for you to see it better, if I do tree, so these are everything, I just run tree command, it just give you the structure. So everything, again, these are folder. This is a file inside the folder. This is a file inside the folder. Template as well. Some of them I'm not too familiar with it. Test, you may not really need this. Variable, if you have variable, you can put it inside there. So if you have a file, like the file we use, that index.html, we can load it inside there. So, Ansible knows where to look for things. by default. So again, you don't need to use all these things. The main thing you will have to use is the task because you want it to do something. So again, let's structure our code a little bit and let's see what we're going to get with that. So again, I have this right now. So I created one which is Apache Ubuntu, right? So let me seed into task. Again, task is where you define your task, just like in our code, right? Let me show you our code again. These are tasks, if you remember, guys. This is the task, where the task, all these things you are saying, they are inside task. Everything, if you remember our YAML 101. So, these are array. These are what they call array list in like Python, but these are array, just list. So task is all these things. All these things are tasks, and you can have as many of them depending on what you want to do on that application or on that server. So yeah, these are tasks, and these are how this thing works. So now for this task, what I'm just going to do is I will only copy this. Let me see. Let me just, for the Ubuntu, okay, let me use the recode that we add. No, I think we use, okay, let me use this. Okay, no, let me use this. Okay, let me use this for the, so again, the task is where you want your task to be. So, so right here, I'm inside task now. Again, if I do ls, I have main.yaml. So this is where you want to edit. So editing main.yaml, say task. So again, you only want to put one task here. You only want to put a single task here. Then you want to create many this thing as much as possible. So I'm just going to restructure this. Yeah, you have to be careful when you are copying in VS Code. So, man, okay. Yeah, because this thing will just throw you an error. Okay, I think it's aligned now. Yeah, so this is the task. This is one task. You understand? So it will just be living here, so you can create as many rows as possible. Again, this could be a complicated task. It could be a lot of things and stuff like that. So, you don't, it depends. So, so now we don't have variable. We don't even need to use all this other folder. We don't need to use this. We don't need to use this because we don't have any file under that task. We don't need to use this, even this. The main thing we are using here is the task. We don't need this, we don't need the variable. We don't have variable. Again, we have variable in our code, but the variable is not being used under this guy. I think we are using our variable right here or somewhere, I don't know, we are not even using it. So you don't have to, it's not compulsory to put stuff in all the what's it called? So, we have the variable now, and we have our rows that we created now. So I'm just going to CD. Again, we created this row already. So, we don't have to do anything again. Again, the only folder we edited is the task. We didn't edit this, nothing about all this, nothing. So as you can see, we only put stuff, again, depending on the role, on the task or whatever. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back all the way home. By default, Ansible know where this row is. So I'm going to create another playbook. So I will say Vim, or yeah, I will say Vim new play.yaml. Again, this is where you want to write your main script. We just created the row. The row is like a folder somewhere, like, a sub. That's why they say row allow you to break your code into this thing. So this is the main playbook that we want to write now. The row is different. It's not a main playbook. It's just a way to structure it. So, if you remember, we use our 3 dots here. Then we do our hosts. So we can say all for the host. Then matter of fact, let me just use dev for the host because I don't want to put it on the distance. Now the only thing okay, let me say become true or yes, I think. Then here, the only thing you want to do is you just say rows. Then I will say row. So rows again is array. That means like it's a list. You can have a lot of them. So I will give it the name. I can't remember the name I use for my row again. I think Ubuntu-Apache. Let me check again. So I'm just going to leave this here. I can't remember. So let me do ls. Let me see the into rows. I just want to see the name I use. So okay, this is the row I created. Ubuntu-Apache. Okay. Apache-Ubuntu. So let me edit this thing again. New play. So I will say here. Sorry. Do I Ubuntu-Apache? Yeah, like this. So yeah, okay. So this is the row now. So now we can. Sorry, I flipped this thing. Apache.Ubuntu. So it's Apache-Ubuntu. So again, you can this array, you can have another row. Maybe we have row to install. Again, we only created one row now. Maybe we have another row to do red hats like we did. So we just say red hats. Again, this is what you need to have in your code, literally. That's it. And if we do the installation, you don't need to write all the tasks in the main code. The task you already written it inside the row that is somewhere, So, and people can use it, you can reuse it. Maybe someone already written the row before, and now you are writing your Ansible code from scratch. So you just make reference to that because someone already written installation of maybe Java or Apache or this thing. You now want to use it in your main code. You just have to make reference to it that, okay, you just have to use rows. That's if the organization is making use of rows, so they will have it as a row store somewhere. Then you just want to write script, maybe inside your script, you need to install Java or you need to install this thing. You just need to call the row, make reference to it, just like we are saying, row, the name of the row. That's it. You don't need to do anything except maybe you just want to declare some variable inside it or whatever. So, but that's it, row, then the name. Then let's run this and let's see if this will actually work. So I would say Ansible playbook. Again, we are running the main playbook, and Ansible already know where our role is, so you don't have to worry making reference to it. So I'll just do new play, which is the new one that I just created now. So let's see if it will work. So you see 100% it's worked. It installed Apache on two of our server because I only specify dev. Remember I group the host. So that is row. That's the power of row. Again, a big line of this thing will just make it as small as anything. And then again, we can, let me cut it again just to show you. Again, basically this is all what we have. Rows, the name of the row, that's it. And the name of the row is what we have here. Again, we can have another row. I can go back inside row and say CD rows. Then I can, right now I have one row. Then I can say Ansible. I want to create another row now. So I'll say Ansible Galaxy init. Then I will say what's the name of the row I can create now? I can say copy file, copy file.yaml. Remember the copy file that we are. So I can create this. Sorry, I think the Galaxy is X. So if I do a less now, I have two rows. So now in my main code, I can call this out. So although I don't have anything there, oh shit, I don't know why I put .yaml there. Let me remove this rm as rf copy. So I'm not supposed to, I shouldn't put .yaml there because it's supposed to be a folder, right guys? So supposed to be a folder, not just a YAML file. So, so Ansible created it. If I do ls now, I have another row copy file. So I can seed into that and just make changes inside the row. Again, you have the task, you have everything. You have different things, just like we did another one. And inside my main script now, I can do, let me now do vim new playbook .yaml. I will do I now to edit. Then here I will just add another row. I will say I copy file. So I will say copy file. Again, I just call it, it will run both of them, and you can have a lot of rows there. Again, your rows are being stored somewhere, inside another folder. So you could have a lot of stuff there. This one is just basic. I just have just one task there. You can have tasks, you can have variable inside it, you can have different things. And again, it's just a way to structure your code, make it cleaner, instead of us putting everything like this, but task this, that. We just have one, 2 lines to do the whole of this. So the whole of this, we can just make it maybe 4 lines or 5 lines. This will be represented by 1 line. This will be represented by 1 line. Again, you may be doing a lot of longer scripts, and at the end of the day, you just say rows, then call everything, and then that's it. So this is another one. I can run it again, but again, I don't have anything inside the copy file, so I will have to write stuff there. So just to give you an idea, and again, roles is a very popular interview question, because those organizations, that's how they want their Ansible application to be structured. And then it's again very powerful, make everything makes everything look organized, easy, and make your code cleaner. So it's mostly the same thing. If you remember our Terraform, we use modules, what we call modules, then we call modules, we make reference to some, so those things, they follow similar, but Ansible call it rules, and you define it, and then you can do a lot of interesting things. Any question, guys, with this? I mean, again, if you don't just, if you don't understand the class, maybe take a look at the class. But the role is especially important. Try to understand it. Understand some of the basic this stuff. Like service, yum, apt, copy, all the stuff, debug, just to print stuff, and just these are, you get all these things from the documentation and stuff. So then again, any question, guys?
Yeah, but this one.
This one now what?
Yeah, now I need to go over it again, but at least I understand all the concept. What I just want to ask is, like, all these codes now, like without even creating the role, is what is called our playbook, right?
Exactly, this is a playbook. Exactly, this
okay,
is a
so it's the whole code.
Exactly, the whole code is the no. Actually, this is also when we created. Okay, this is also a playbook. Let me see the new one I created, which is this. Let me cut it. Which is the new this thing. This is also a playbook that we are making. This is also a small, but
a small playbook.
But this is the main thing doing the whole job. This is the one you are running. This one is this one is just calling the role. If you remember, you will do Ansible playbook, then you provide the name of this file, which is the playbook. But this one is just making reference to the role. The role, you don't have to run it, you don't have to do anything, but the playbook itself is the main script. The role itself cannot do anything. If you create a role, you can't do anything. You still need to create the playbook. To make use of the role. So inside the playbook, that's where you now put the role there. So, or maybe you don't want to use role, then your code will look more like this. We look, you just have everything there. This is also a playbook. So
and then at interviews, when they ask about roles in Ansible, and you just basically tell them is to break down your playbook,
break down your,
just make it more
exactly
shorter.
exactly.
And do they ask more like technical questions on it, or
no, and most time, and that's why I'm trying to go deep in. They won't just want you to just answer with one line of this thing. You explain, okay, role allow you to break your code, make it organized and reusable. And you inside the role you have the directory structure where you have some like task. You don't have to cram all what is inside role because there are a lot of them. If I do ls, that's L roles now. Roles. Sorry. So if I go inside it and do ls, you know that there's a lot of structure there, but you can mention like, okay, inside it you have a variable, you have the template, you have the task where you define, so just make the conversation will show that you actually know this. So yeah.
So like all these files handlers, it represents a role, right?
Yeah, it's all of them, they are role, they are one role. Yeah, it's just when we created that role, it's created the folder for us by default, everything. So depending on what you want to use, like the one we use, we only use the task alone.
Tasks,
yeah, but
because that's what you want to do.
Exactly, yeah. But so in some cases you may need variable, so you just have to store the variable inside the variable. Yeah. So if I cd inside this directory, let me just do cd. Then I'm lazy, I don't want to. So I'm inside the variable now. All of them have main.yaml. So this is the code this is where you can edit things. If I do vim main.yaml now, you see it's empty. So now if I want to use any variable now, so all what I have to do is that I will just declare it in the key value pair. I'll just say name, just like Kenneth, OS operating system, Linux. You can do your variable like this, and in your code, in your main distance, you can make reference to it. I can say distro, like distribution. Is the code distro? I say that Ubuntu. So this is these are variable, and this is how you have it because the YAML syntax. So now inside your main script, now inside your, if I am inside this thing now, if I go inside task, let me say I say cd task. Again, task 2, we have all of them have main.yaml, but you don't have to use it. So inside the main.yaml now, if I say I'm inside task now, I can use one of the variable directly here. So I can use one of the variable. I can write some things like name.
So the main your .yaml, there's nothing necessarily inside. You just have to edit it and
you just exactly, nothing is there, to be blank. So you just have to edit it depending on which one you want to use. Exactly. But most time we have to use the one inside task. Then probably you have to use, and if you have file you want to store, this one doesn't have a YAML, this thing. Just if you want to, so it allows you to structure things and make it very clean, and again, just understand all those concepts.
And the questions come up of maybe integrating Ansible with Terraform.
I mean, I don't know, we can do that too, but it's also it's nothing, they call it Terraform, I think provisioner or something like that. So basically what it does is that you can integrate a playbook inside when your Terraform launch your EC2, you just create but again, you don't have to, not all company exactly. So
it's not a common practice
exactly. So some things you don't, Ansible, of course you put it on your resume, Ansible, stuff like that, they ask you question. But if they asking, you can say you understand what it do, how it works, or but you've not really used it, your organization doesn't use it that way. So again, the different varieties of ways they use some of all this tooling, but some things are very, very like constant. So so not all organizations do that. Not all organizations integrate Docker with their this thing, with their Jenkins, or so but you just have to find good conversation to make and stuff like that. So but you don't have to like answer that how to do like everything literally. So because it's so diverse field with so many complicated way they do things. But understand roles very well. It's very the concept, again, just know the concept the file structure and everything. Any question, guys? Any question?
I noticed when you created those files on the role, I noticed that some of the files they end with .yml. I just wanted to ask: is there any difference between the YAML and the YML?
Nothing, no different. So some people prefer YML. The same thing. If let me do something interesting. And also practice with Linux. Let me just grab one. I think this code work. The last one, I think is new play. So the new play, I call it. Let me do ls again. You remember move command. You can use it to rename a file. So I want to rename this one now. This particular file. Again, we have a code there that's working. It's so let me rename it. So I will say move. So this is the name, new file. So I want to call it new play. I want to remove the YAML. I want to remove the A there. New play dot YML like this. So I'm renaming it basically with this env command. So if I do enter now, if I do ls now, you see the name changed. So it's no longer this thing. So if I do Ansible playbook again, you see that it will work the same way with playbook, then new, this YML. So you see everything works. It doesn't complain. It's happy. So and again, it's the same YAML or Y is the same YAML. Yeah, I prefer to use YAML anyway. So that's why you in some cases you see it's that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question, guys? Okay. Yeah, the video should be available tonight. So yeah, I'm sure if you take a look again, and then yeah, you should be able to grab one or two things. Yeah. Okay, guys, there's no question.
You were saying something about Datadog. Like, I was going to touch that. Or...
You want us to do data? Yeah.
No, you just mentioned it. Maybe like just.
Yeah, I did. I know. I mentioned. Yeah, honestly,
right.
monitoring too is important. Yeah, they used to. Yeah, we can do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we do Datadog too. Yeah. Yeah, monitoring is very. Yeah, it's a very common thing they like. You see it a lot in interview you have. So we're just going to do Datadog and see how it works. Oh my God, let me shut down all this EC2 server I'm launching. I don't know how much AWS is charging me now. Yeah, so I think this is a good lab. You see how we use Ansible to install things on 4 different machines. We only working on this. It's very powerful. It does so many things. Okay, guys.
All right. So next week we're starting with Dockers, right?
Yeah, we did
okay.
Docker.
All right. Oh, sorry, on Tuesday rather.
Yeah, this week. No. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Yeah, the recording will be available and all the code too. Probably I'll just put in the GitHub or whatever. This.
Okay.
Yeah, and the row, the one with the row. Yeah. Okay. Have a good night since there's no question.
All right.